And right now, we are 2 minutes away from the end of the trading day. Romaine Bostick here with Katie Greifeld, taking you through to that closing bell with a global simulcast. Carol Massar and Tim Stenovec join us now. Welcome to our audiences across all of our platforms, television, radio, our partnership with YouTube. Here on a pretty wild Tuesday afternoon, stocks open higher. At one point, they saw a huge plunge on the day, Carol Massar, but paring those losses heading into the close.
Yeah, we did see some buying over the last hour or so, so we are definitely off our worst levels of the session. Having said that, we've been talking a little bit about and focusing on the home builders. You had a couple of them, it seems like reaching out to the administration, trying to figure out a way to involve private investors and build some affordable homes. So you did see that sector as a whole up about 2.5%.
Are private investors not already involved in that?
Well, I guess they are, but maybe there's more that can be done.
Okay.
Bitcoin also plunging at one point today, down more than 7%. It's given back some of those losses, now down about 2.7%, but it actually dropped to the lowest price since President Trump's victory. So going back to November of 2024 in terms of price, everything after he was elected essentially being given up.
It's pretty fascinating. I mean, you think about just how Bitcoin has been performing over the past couple of weeks when we've seen gold absolutely on fire, the dollar falling out of bed. Bitcoin didn't really participate at all in that debasement trade and under pressure, as you point out, once again today.
Yeah, digital gold. Hey, you should do a show, Tim Stenovec.
1 hour now. Tuesdays, 12 to 1 p.m., Bloomberg TV, Bloomberg Crypto.
All right, there's your plug there here as we get the closing bells in New York. Just a reminder, several earnings after the bell. Mondelez, Chipotle, Clorox, Prudential, EA, Take-Two, Skyworks, Amgen, SMCI, and AMD. We walk you through the numbers here on this Tuesday afternoon with an S&P 500 that opened in the green, plunged about 1.6%. Looks like it's going to close out the day down about 0.9%. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down about 0.4%. The NASDAQ down about 1.4%. While the Russell 2000, that's going to close positive in the green, up 8 points or 0.3%.
All right, back to the S&P 500, guys. 271 names to the upside in the Tuesday trade. Katie, 231 losing ground, one unchanged.
Well, let's take a look at the circle and at the sector performance. A pretty interesting breakdown here. Certainly, you had more losers than winners, and it's the losers that really matter because, as you can see, information technology was your biggest underperformer on the day, down more than 2% as a sector, even though you had a very strong showing from the likes of Palantir. Wasn't enough to lift the sector overall. In terms of what did well today, it was energy. We know that crude prices certainly popped today. Energy as a sector higher by more than 3%, Carol.
All right, so let's go to some of the individual gainers as we await some earnings. And Palantir, number 2 gainer in the S&P 500, and that went up as much at its highs, almost 12%, finishing the day with a gain of about 6.8%. We talked about this company reported after the close yesterday following a revenue forecast for fiscal 2026 that significantly exceeded Wall Street expectations. So we're talking about annual revenue gaining 61%. Company forecast sales in the current quarter of about $1.53 billion. Katie, that was a beat.
And let's quickly turn to Amgen earnings. Fourth quarter adjusted EPS, big beat here. That came in at $5.29. The estimate was for $4.71. So again, quite a beat there when it comes to fourth quarter adjusted EPS. Boosting sales and profits, its top drugs performed there. And again, you can see quite a beat for Amgen when it comes to adjusted EPS and also to fourth quarter operating income as well.
Skyworks, a supplier to Apple, reporting earnings right now, coming in with its fiscal adjusted first quarter earnings coming in at $1.54. That's versus $1.60 year over year. Not quite sure the comparison. Revenue did drop by about 3% year over year, down to about $1 billion. For the second quarter, the quarter that we're in, the company sees adjusted EPS of $1.04, and it sees revenue in a range of $875 to $925 million.
All right, back to some of the individual movers. Got to mention Wal-Mart. This one closing with a $1 trillion market cap for the first time ever. Stock was up about 3% in today's session by the close, a little bit off its best levels of the session. Stock is up about 14% year to date, and that's after gaining 23% last year. So we have continued to see this one move to the upside. A lot of folks, too, it feels like when they come on air, when they talk about the retail sector, they're watching very closely what Walmart is doing. And they have undergone, as you know, a massive digital transformation. So they're using a lot more technology, incorporating AI across their operations, and it seems to be paying off. Investors certainly certainly noticing. And I'm just going to mention Homebuilders again. At their highs, up almost 6% in today's session, finishing with a gain as a whole in the S&P 500 Home Building Index, up about 2.5%. Again, you are seeing that home builders are pushing for some massive programs to develop what they are calling Trump homes that would address the U.S. affordability crisis and allow private capital to deploy many billions of dollars. We talked with our own Patrick Clark, and it sounds like a lot more details, though, need to be figured out before this one might be a go-ahead. But nonetheless, investors moving money into that space, too.
Well, investors moving money out of some stocks today. Those notable decliners include PayPal. Those shares taking a hit today. This after the company said HP Inc. CEO Enrique Lores will take the top job from Alex Chris, whose turnaround plan failed to meet targets. Shares of PayPal falling more than 20% today. Jamie Miller, the payments firm's CFO and operating officer, will serve as interim CEO until Lores takes over on March 1st. Also, looking at ADRs of Novo Nordisk. Those fell today after the company said its sales will drop this year. Blockbusters Ozempic and Wegovy face ever tougher competition, and the company gets hit by U.S. government's plan to cut drug prices. Shares ADRs of Novo Nordisk down more than 14% today. Sales will probably fall by 5% to 13%, according to the company. That's more than the decline of 1.4% at constant exchange rates that analysts expected. The company's CEO said Novo's main aim is to now stay focused on its transformation and to progress the pipeline despite the challenges that are facing the company.
All right, folks, I just want to bring your attention to a headline crossing the Bloomberg terminal that has a stock moving here in the aftermarket. We're talking about Silicon Labs. That stock is soaring in the aftermarket, up about 39% as we speak. And this is on a headline that Texas Instruments and Silicon Lab in advanced talks. So not a lot of detail. I'm just looking at the Bloomberg to see if there's anything more on that, but it just sounds like they're talking. So we're going to keep an eye on this, but it's got the stock moving. And you can see TI down about 3.2% aftermarket.
Take two crossing the wire right now. Their earnings coming out for the most recent quarter. EBITDA at 331 and change. We'll round it up to 332. Adjusted EPS. The company is saying that for the current quarter right now, it sees EPS in a range of 46 cents to 56 cents a share. That does look a little bit higher than what the street was looking for, at least on the top end. EBITDA of 163 to 186. But a pretty broad range there here for what they're seeing here. I just want to point out, too, for net bookings, the company says expect about $1.5 to $1.6 billion. The street, on average, looking for about 1.54.
Okay, you're looking at Take-Two Interactive. I'm looking at what's going on with Electronic Arts. Third quarter net bookings coming in above estimates at $3.05 billion. Net bookings, it's the only data that we have right now, did beat estimates. Net bookings coming in above $3 billion. The estimate was for $2.84 billion. Total net revenue coming in at $1.9 billion. That's shy of other estimates. R&D expenses were a little higher than estimates. Adjusted operating margin at 18.8%. Shares of EA in the after hours down higher, actually, by about 0.4%.
Let's quickly go back to Take-Two there, because it's interesting. We're hearing a little bit from the CEO in the statement talking about outperformance from all of their labels, and then looking ahead as well. They talk about ongoing momentum across many of our businesses and the highly anticipated launch of Grand Theft Auto on November 19th, continuing to project record levels of net bookings. Yeah, it's a good question, right? I know many people would like to know, but still, I mean, projecting a lot of confidence there. You can see the shares higher by nearly 5% in the after hours.
All right, go ahead. Do you want to say something?
Well, I just got to say, remember we had that sell-off in some of the video game stocks because of that new product apparently being put out by Alphabet. So something to keep an eye on too, as far as the forecast and whether they can meet it.
All right, let's go to the insurance sector. We've got Chubb crossing the Bloomberg terminal. Let's go to fourth quarter total investments up about 1.6% quarter over quarter, $168.72 billion. Property and casualty combined ratio, 81.2%. That's below the street estimate of 84%. Fourth quarter book value per share, $188.59. That's a little bit below the street estimate of $190.16. You can see Chubb just a little bit higher in the aftermarket, up about 0.2%. Fourth quarter net premiums, by the way, coming in a little bit above street estimates at $13.13 billion. So a little bit of movement. All right. On to AMD and a couple of other ones. We're still awaiting for them, including Chipotle, to cross the Bloomberg. I know you guys are going to have it. We will too.